the initial reports are that he confessed to some relatives or friends. His father was a retired sheriff's deputy from Utah County, apparently, and turned him in, declining that FBI reward money. A friend also said that this guy, who apparently 4.0 student, almost perfect score on the ACT, very smart kid, but dumbly texted a friend and said, basically, would you pick up my rifle? I left it in the woods. He carved anti-fascist sentiments on the bullets. And also some references to what the press had originally referred to as transgenderism statements. Actually, it's a, I don't want to go deep in the weeds here, but it's basically online references to furry culture, if you know what those are. It's very big on TikTok and Tumblr and a few subreddits. He's very hyper online, apparently, and radicalized on the left. It's very interesting now. A number of members of the media are trying to downplay the motivation. The governor and sheriff said this guy did express sentiments to his family that he hated Charlie Kirk, and he was radicalized on the left. And yet you're having a bunch of reporters say, well, he wore a Donald Trump costume for Halloween. Yes, there's a picture of him with his hands around the throat of a inflatable Donald Trump, looking like he was dragging him around. His family says he had not been political, but became politicized over the last couple of years. I want to dive into some of this. This is the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, talking about the carvings on the shell casings.
He had changed outfits. I know there has been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who has worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount.
So the Bella Ciao, and just so you know, it's a song sung by the Chinese communists. They have a version of it, but it is very, very popular among anti-fascists. It's also popular in the Atlanta United Soccer Club community and Major League Soccer in the United States. They don't allow a lot of political stuff, but Major League Soccer and the local Atlanta United here in Atlanta, Georgia, allow the singing and displays of signs related to the anti-fascist slogan that this Tyler Robinson etched on the shell casing. It is a sign that he viewed himself as Antifa, as an anti-fascist. All these people who have been saying anti-fascism is a good thing, the anti-fascists are the ones who keep getting us killed, innocent people shot in this country by the anti-fascists. Little more from Spencer Cox.
Was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits.
That's the governor, Spencer Cox. Y'all, I really, really, really do think it is important here to know that a lot of the American press corps is rapidly now moving on from the story because we now know that the shooter is of the left. And I also think you need to know that there is an online propaganda effort happening by people on the left to claim that this guy was a Republican because his family, though not very partisan, appeared to have sympathies to the right. We're watching in real time some in the American press, not all, some, but a lot of progressives tried to deny that this guy was on the left. We get lectured constantly about right-wing violence, and they're trying to push this guy into being on the right, and yet he killed Charlie Kirk. Said he hated him, argued with his family about him, etched on the on the shell casings anti-fascist slogans that have been embraced by the left. Based on what we know so far, the evidence so far, it appears he became radicalized online down rabbit holes, and I want to speak for a moment on that. I have a great relationship with my son. He's 16. I think I've told you guys this before. We have our hot tub in the backyard from Georgia Spa Company, and he was out there one night by himself, had his iPad out, was watching something, and was real close to the iPad. I was like, oh, gosh. What is my 16-year-old watching out in the dark backyard by himself with no one around? And I sneaked around the back of the house to see. It was a Tim Keller sermon. It was a Tim Keller sermon. I try to talk to my kids, and I have since they were little, about the darkness that's on the internet. I've tried to explain to my kids that there actually is evil on the internet, and that you will stumble upon it and you will get sucked into it, and they needed to be very, very careful about where they went on the internet, and tried to explain to my son how boys his age are oftentimes engaged by other boys with links to pornography, and that pornography is bad. It is harmful to him. It is harmful to the people who are involved in it. It is demonic. It is going to ruin future relationships, and it is highly addictive. And he needs to work with all of his strength to avoid it, and those who would try to get him to look at it. It's conversations you have to have with your kids these days. There are a lot of you right now listening, probably my age. You've got teenage kids, and increasingly young men are going onto Reddit and Tumblr and TikTok and elsewhere, and they're becoming radicalized behind your back, and you don't even know it. And what happens is one link goes to another link, goes to another link, goes to another link, and pretty soon you're down the rabbit hole. I'm seeing it actually happen with some people on the right now, that maybe this guy was on the left, or it could be that the shell casings were false flags. False flags, you hear that a lot. False flags. Maybe he actually was on the right, and Charlie Kirk was too moderate for him. Maybe. Why should we believe the authorities? People who C.S. Lewis said, when you see through everything, you see nothing. And there are a lot of people, their default reaction is to not believe anything they hear. And then they try to stitch together the truth by not believing any of the facts presented, but by believing the opposite. So they never actually see anything, and they go down rabbit holes. It's a very dangerous world. And this young man, Tyler Robinson, based on what we know so far, got radicalized online. Some of the things that he carved on the casings suggest he had been down the sexuality rabbit holes on TikTok and Tumblr related to furry culture and stuff. I'm not going to go into it. Just trust me, unfortunately. And then the anti-fascist stuff. The online culture can be very, very poisonous. One more from Governor Cox.
We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please, please, please follow what Charlie taught me. I'll just conclude with with words I share often from a friend and author, Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country. And he said, I'm not optimistic. He said, I hate optimism. God, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. And he said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so.
He also said, go touch some grass. That social media is poisonous. And it is poisonous. It is poisonous. This young man, you need to note this for the record, believed Charlie Kirk was a fascist. It is the language that the left uses about the right every day. It is the language Democratic politicians use to refer to Donald Trump and his supporters every day. And he got radicalized and poisoned by the people using that language. And now the people who are using that language are like, oh, not us, not us. Literally, I put up a tweet. That says, we're watching in real time on social media the large progressive accounts trying to claim Tyler Robinson as a Trump-loving Republican. And Sarah Longwell, the founder and publisher of The Bulwark, replies, all Americans watched in real time as the President of the United States held an Oval Office address accusing the radical left of Charlie Kirk's murder when he had zero information about the killer. I'm sorry, but we actually know that the killer was of the radical left, and it didn't take a rocket scientist to know that it was someone on the radical left who assassinated Charlie Kirk. It did not take a rocket. Everyone knew on the right the moment it happened it was someone on the left. And you're like, well, the president didn't know at the time, and he said it. Well, guess what? It turns out the president was right. Why don't you shut up and recognize that the violent rhetoric on the left is festering and rotting people's brains? We have a guy who decided to kill Charlie Kirk because he decided Charlie Kirk was a fascist because the internet told him so.